You woke up this morning and a voice in your head said, I.
Right.
And you probably didn't even notice it. I mean,
Yeah.
it feels incredibly solid, right? Like
Yeah.
there is this continuous unbroken thread connecting the you sitting here right now listening to this deep dive to the you who fell asleep 8 hours ago.
Yeah, and the you from 10 years ago, too. It's the baseline assumption of almost every human life.
Totally.
We just navigate the world assuming there's this, like, a passenger riding around inside the vehicle of our body, looking out through our eyes like they're windows.
Right. But here is what I want you to try. The listener, I mean.
Yeah.
Sit with that feeling of I for just 1 minute of quiet attention today. Just really look for it.
It's harder than it sounds.
It really is, because the moment you actually try to pin it down, that solid feeling, it quickly starts to dissolve.
Yeah, it does.
And what you find isn't a static self, it's a sequence.
Which is, that dissolving feeling can be incredibly disorienting at first.
Oh, absolutely.
But it is actually the gateway to one of the most profound realizations a human being can have.
Which is really the core mission for this deep dive today. We are taking a stack of incredibly dense, fascinating sources that bring together two radically different worlds.
Very different.
Yeah, on one hand, we have the 2,500-year-old Buddhist psychology of the Abhidhamma, and on the other hand, we have this cutting-edge mathematical physics.
Right, the E8 lattice projection theory stuff.
Exactly. We're looking at research linking consciousness to that exact math. And these are frameworks separated by millennia using entirely different languages.
Yeah, one uses deep introspective meditation and the other uses, advanced geometric mathematics.
Right.
Yet they arrive at the exact same completely mind-bending conclusion about what you actually are.
And just to set the stage for you listening, our goal today isn't to induce some kind of existential crisis.
Definitely not.
Right. We don't want you staring at a wall feeling like nothing matters. Quite the opposite, actually.
Yeah, we want to shortcut you to a massive aha moment.
Exactly. We're going to explore how replacing that heavy, exhausting burden of identity with the reality of a flowing sequence actually brings this strange, incredible sense of relief.
Because you start to realize you don't have to carry something that was never really there to begin with.
Man, I love that. Okay, so let's build the foundation. Before we can even touch the physics, we need to understand the original map of the mind. So take us back 2,500 years. The sources talk about the Abhidhamma. What is that?
Well, the Abhidhamma is essentially the analytical psychology of early Buddhism.
Okay.
The practitioners mapped subjective experience in exhaustive detail, and they called it a psychology without a psyche.
A psychology without a psyche. That's a great phrase.
Right. Because when they looked closely at how a thought forms or how an emotion arises, they never found a soul operating the machinery.
So if there's no soul, like no central operator pulling the levers, what did they find? What's going on up there?
Well, instead of a static entity, they described the mind as a rapid, continuous stream of momentary, durationless events.
Durationless. So they take up almost no time at all.
Exactly. These individual events are called cittas. They arise, do a very specific job, and vanish in a fraction of a millisecond.
Okay.
And the entire experience of what you call yourself is just a grouping of 5 aggregates.
Okay, let's break that down. What are those aggregates? Like, what are the building blocks of this illusion?
So they break down into form, which is just the physical aspect.
Got it.
Then feeling, which, and this is important, isn't emotion. It's just the initial raw reaction of pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral.
Okay, so just basic data categorization.
Pretty much, yeah. Then there's perception, which is recognizing and labeling an object.
Like saying, that's a car.
Right. Then mental formations, which cover your volitions, reactions, anger, joy, decision-making, all that stuff.
That's the messy human stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And finally, consciousness, which is just the bare knowing of the object.
Okay.
And the kicker is, there is nothing outside of those 5 shifting aggregates that owns them.
Wait, I really need to wrap my head around that.
Yeah.
So when I say, I am angry or I am listening to a deep dive, I'm actually just experiencing a temporary bundle of physical form, a raw feeling, a label, a reaction, and bare awareness.
Yes.
All arising together for a split second.
Exactly. And the Abhidhamma uses a highly specific technical term for the mistake of thinking otherwise. It's called sakaya dihi.
Sakaya dihi.
Right. It translates basically to view when a group exists.
Okay.
This is the core illusion. It's the fundamental error of believing that a compound of shifting, momentary parts is actually one unchanging thing.
That makes me think of a river.
Oh, that's a classic one.
Right. Like if I go to a riverbank and point at the water,
Yeah.
I label it as a single static object. I say, there's the river.
Right, you name it.
But I'm actually interacting with water that is constantly flowing. It is never the exact same water twice,
Never.
but my brain needs a shorthand to make sense of the world, so it just groups the whole shifting process together and names it one thing.
And the river doesn't exist as a permanent entity, right? It only exists as a sequence of water molecules in motion.
Yeah.
Well, the self functions the exact same way. It only exists as a sequence of these cittas, these momentary aggregates in motion.
The river metaphor is gorgeous. But, and here's where I want to push back on behalf of you, the listener.
Okay, go for it.
A metaphor is just poetry, right? I mean, a monk meditating in a cave 2,500 years ago is having a subjective experience. They're relying on their own internal perception.
Sure.
Has modern objective science actually proven this? Because if there's no owner of this process, is this just like a psychological trick we play on ourselves to feel better about aging and death?
That's the perfect question, and the shift from ancient philosophy to rigorous mathematical physics answers that directly.
Okay, hit me.
We have to ask, can we prove that non-self is a structural reality? And the sources we are analyzing today bridge the Abhidhamma with what's called the E8CFT framework.
Okay, E8. I saw this all over the sources, and it made my head spin.
It is incredibly dense.
It's talking about a 248-dimensional shape. Like, how does that even relate to my brain or my sense of self?
Well, let's unpack the acronyms first.
Please.
CFT stands for conformal field theory, which is basically a mathematical way of describing how physical systems behave.
Okay.
And E8 is a massive 248-dimensional geometric structure. Imagine the foundational structure of the universe not as tiny particles bumping into each other, but as an incredibly complex 238-dimensional crystal.
I mean, my brain struggles with 4 dimensions. 248 is just unimaginable.
It is, which is why we don't live in 248 dimensions.
Cool, I don't.
No, our reality, the universe we observe and interact with, is mathematically modeled as a projection of this massive structure down into a 29-dimensional visible sector.
Okay, wait. Like a highly complex 3D object casting a 2D shadow on the wall.
Yes, exactly.
So the shadow is real, you can measure it, but it's a radically incomplete fragment of the much larger structure that's actually making it.
The shadow metaphor is critical here. In this mathematical model, there's the 29-dimensional visible sector, our shadow on the wall, and a 210-dimensional shadow sector.
Shadow sector. Sounds like a sci-fi movie.
It does, right. But mathematically, we don't directly see those 210 dimensions, but they dynamically interact with our visible reality.
So how does this math connect back to the Buddhist monks?
Well, researchers mapped the Abhidhamma onto this E8 geometry, and they found that the Buddha's 3 marks of existence, impermanence, unsatisfactoriness, and non-self, aren't just poetic observations.
They aren't.
No, the sources show they are actual zero-parameter mathematical theorems.
Zero parameter. I saw that phrase used twice as proof that the math is absolute. But what does zero parameter actually mean for, a lay person?
It means you don't have to plug in any arbitrary numbers to make the math work.
Oh, I see.
You don't have to force Buddhist assumptions into the equation to get a Buddhist result. A zero-parameter theorem is a fundamental, inescapable necessity of the shape itself. It just falls out of the math naturally.
Wow. Okay, so if the math fundamentally proves non-self, how does it define the self? If I'm not a permanent passenger, what am I in E8 terms?
The math defines the self as a correlated trajectory through 5 spectral categories.
5. Wait a minute.
Yes.
Yes.
And astoundingly, those 5 mathematical categories perfectly match the 5 aggregates of the Abhidhamma we just discussed.
Yeah.
Form, feeling, perception, formations, and consciousness.
Wait, so you're saying non-self isn't a meditation trick?
Not at all.
It's what physically and necessarily happens when a momentary bounded configuration like a human being is just a tiny projection of a 248-dimensional structure.
Exactly. The technical term the Abhidhamma uses is panyati, which just means a conventional label for a pattern.
A label for a pattern.
Right.
Okay.
Because if we look at the Hamiltonian, which is the mathematical operator that dictates how this entire system evolves over time.
The rule book for the universe, basically.
Yes. In that rule book, there is no mathematical operator anywhere in the system that stays invariant while everything else changes.
Meaning, there is no fixed anchor in the math.
None.
You can't point to a piece of the equation and say, There is the soul, there is the self, completely untouched by the flow of time.
Right. Because every visible state is a radically incomplete fragment of something vastly larger, it is entirely dependent on what lies outside it.
Okay, wait.
Think back to your shadow analogy. A shadow can't have its own independent mass, right?
No, of course not.
It relies entirely on the object and the light. It cannot be an independent self because structurally, mathematically, it is inherently entangled with the rest of the lattice.
Hold on. I need to stop you there,
Okay.
because this is where I have to push back hard.
Go ahead.
If the math proves that I am just a correlated trajectory of mathematical fragments,
Mm-hmm.
and the ancient psychology proves I am just a river of shifting aggregates
Mm-hmm.
who feels the pain when I stub my toe,
Ah.
you can't just math away my pain. If there is no mathematical anchor, no me who is screaming, why does the illusion of a solid identity feel so intensely real?
That is probably the most important question you could
I guess
ask.
it hurts.
Yes. The pain is real, the experience is completely real, but the central experiencer is constructed.
Constructed how?
To understand why it feels so convincing, we have to look at the mechanics of the mirage. The Abhidhamma calls this the cittavritti, which is the cognitive process.
Okay, the sequence of those little cittas, those split-second events.
Yes. In the E8 framework, each moment of consciousness is generated by what the math calls a joint decoherence temporal projector.
Joint decoherence temporal projector.
They denote it as a joint.
Let's apply the like I'm 5 rule to that one.
Right.
What is it literally doing?
It is the mechanism that takes a slice of that massive 248-dimensional reality and flashes it into our localized awareness.
Exhaustive,
okay?
right.
One application of this projector creates one citta. It captures an object like the sensation of your stubbed toe, and then it immediately ceases.
So it just flashes into existence, does its job, and flashes out.
Exactly. And a standard cognitive series processes 17 of these extremely fast moments in succession just to register a single event. Yeah. Say you look at a flower.
Okay.
There's a moment that vibrates the background consciousness, a moment that turns toward the eye, a moment that receives the visual data, moments that investigate it, and moments that experience the resulting emotion of seeing it.
17 distinct, separate flashes just to look at a flower.
And each moment arises, does its specific job, and entirely ceases before the next one begins.
So there's no overlap.
No overlap. There is literally no frame that persists to carry your identity from one instant to the next. The pain of the stubbed toe exists in one frame, the memory of it in the next, the anger at the coffee table in the next.
Wow, okay, that gives me the perfect analogy. This is exactly how a film reel works.
Exactly.
Because if you look at a physical strip of movie celluloid, it's just a series of still, static, separate photographs.
Right, nothing is actually moving on the film.
But when you run it through a projector, like our joint projector, flashing a light through it fast enough, your brain manufactures the illusion of fluid, continuous motion.
The continuity of the self is manufactured by rapid succession in exactly the same way. The illusion is a byproduct of the sheer speed of the cognitive process.
Man, that is fascinating. The sources give another brilliant analogy for this too. The candle flame.
Oh, I love the candle flame analogy.
So if you light a candle and then use that candle to light a second one and the seconds to light a third, passing the flame down a long line, is it the same flame?
Well, it's not the same fire because the fuel is entirely different for each candle.
Right.
But it's not a completely disconnected fire either because the second flame was caused by the first.
Exactly. What you call me is much closer to a flame being passed rapidly from candle to candle than it is to a single unbroken candle burning forever.
And what's wild is that the E8 math models that passing of the flame as a fractal inheritance operator.
Fractal inheritance, meaning what? It inherits the shape of the past?
Essentially, yes. It's the math of cause and effect without physical transfer. The past visible states influence the probability of the next state.
Oh, I get it.
So there is a continuity of cause and effect, which is why you remember your childhood and why you carry the trauma of the stubbed toe into the next moment.
But there is no continuity of a static substance.
Exact.
Okay, so if I am just a flame passed along a sequence or, a series of frames moving through a projector, what happens when someone actually realizes this?
Right.
Like really internalizes it? Because this is where people might get scared.
Oh, for sure.
Do I become a nihilist? If I'm not real, do I just stop caring about my life, my family, my goals?
It's a really natural fear, but the sources are incredibly clear about this. This is absolutely not nihilism. The Buddha was incredibly careful never to say, there is nothing.
He didn't say the universe is empty and meaningless.
No, the teaching is only that there is no permanent, independent, self-sufficient thing where you assumed one lived. You still experience joy, you still feel pain, you still make choices.
River is still flowing.
Exactly. Recognizing the illusion doesn't erase the experience.
So what does it do? If I'm still feeling the pain and I still have to go to work tomorrow, what is the practical shift for the listener?
Well, meditative traditions map this recognition unfolding in very specific stages. It's not just an intellectual idea you read about, it's an empirical observation you make in your own mind.
Okay.
As a practitioner meditates, they literally slow down the mind enough to observe these aggregates, these cittas arising and dissolving.
So they slow down the film projector to see the black space between the individual frames.
That's a great way to put it. And as they do that, they start eliminating what the E8 math calls bias operators from their internal projector.
Bias operators.
The Abhidhamma calls these biases defilements or kilesas.
Translate bias operators for me. What does that mean in, like, human terms?
Essentially, it means your brain stops running the defend the ego code.
Oh, wow.
The very first stage of awakening is called stream entry, and the mathematical sources describe this as the permanent removal of the 3 lowest order biases from the projector.
Yeah.
And the primary bias that gets eliminated is sakkaya-dihi, the personality view.
The illusion of the static self is fundamentally deleted from the card.
Yes. The math shows that the projector's effective map of reality finally aligns with the actual eigenvalue structure of the universe.
Eigenvalue structure, another heavy term. I'm assuming that means the fundamental truth of how the geometry actually functions.
Yeah, pretty much. An eigenvalue represents a stable, measurable reality in quantum mechanics. So when your internal map aligns with the eigenvalue structure, it means your perception finally matches the physical truth of the universe.
The misalignment is corrected.
Right. And when that happens, the craving to protect the me loosens on its own.
Man, so what does this all mean for you, the person listening right now? Here's the big aha moment. Recognizing this illusion doesn't erase your life.
No.
Simply removes the chronic, exhausting tension of defending something that was never under threat because it was never solid to begin with.
Think about how much energy we spend defending our ego on a daily basis.
Oh, it's constantly.
Defending our opinions, our status, our self-image. It requires massive amounts of psychological energy to maintain the illusion of a solid self against a universe that is constantly proving we are impermanent.
It's like trying to hold a river still with your bare hands. It's just exhausting.
And when you realize the self is just a panyati, a conventional shorthand for a highly fluid and interdependent pattern, you stop fighting the flow.
Yeah.
The self isn't an illusion in the sense of being fake. It is an illusion in the sense of being a convincing shorthand for something vastly more complex and beautiful than a static object.
Let's bring this all together. We started with a 2,500-year-old Buddhist map of the mind, which broke our experience down into durationless moments of consciousness, cittas, and the 5 aggregates. A psychology without a psyche.
And we saw how that ancient map aligns with staggering precision to modern E8 lattice projection theory.
It's just crazy that they match up.
It really is. The marks of impermanence and non-self are not just philosophical beliefs. They are mathematically proven zero-parameter theorems describing how our 29-dimensional visible reality is projected from a 248-dimensional structure.
Your continuity is manufactured by rapid succession, exactly like a film reel. You are a brilliant, rapid sequence. And both ancient contemplative science and cutting-edge geometry agree on this profound truth.
And the practical application of this truth is the permanent removal of the personality view, which again leads not to nihilism, but to a profound liberation from the burden of the ego.
Once you stop demanding that the shorthand of you be a permanent, unchangeable thing, a strange kind of lightness shows up.
Yeah, lightness is the right word.
Not because you lost something, you didn't lose your identity. It's because you realized you were never actually carrying what you thought you were carrying.
Exactly.
The heavy backpack of me was empty the whole time.
It is a remarkable convergence. Subjective insight and objective mathematics pointing to the exact same relief.
It really is. And we're going to leave you with a final thought to mull over today as you go about your sequence of a life. The next time you feel offended, anxious, or defensive today,
When that familiar, tight feeling of I flares up in your chest.
pause and ask yourself, which exact frame of the film reel is actually under attack right now?